I mix my own clay from scratch, partly because I'm lucky enough to have access to a clay mixer. And as a student, it was all we had was homemade clay, so it's kind of what I started out with. But I think the main reason I still mix my clay instead of buying it is I like a really soft, squishy clay. One thing about soft clay is that I can put pieces of this slab together in the mold without having to slip and score everything. It connects really nicely, and it makes this first step a little faster. And I tend to make things thicker than they need to be, and then remove clay in my hand building process to get to the right weight that I want for a piece. So everything I do tends to start out a little bit thicker than it needs to be. Now this is about as big a slab as I can handle and carry over to my mold. And I don't really want to mess it up too much, but I'll just lay it over this mold and let it sort of ease its way in there. Sometimes it gets hung up on the corners. So this is kind of a messy process. You just have to go with it and trust it. So as I see what parts of my slab are just sort of climbing up out of the mold, I just slice them back and take off some of the excess clay. And here I've got a bunch I can cut off, and I start to work the clay. Sometimes it doesn't want to settle all the way to the bottom. You just have to gently work it down until you can feel it meeting the pressure of the mold below it. And because the slab is a little thicker, it allows me to kind of stretch it like this without getting too thin. So see, because it's so soft and sticky, I can just squish more clay onto it, which I really like. I'll do a lot of sculpting of the form later, but I want to get a form up in space. It's sort of how I've worked in lots of different pieces, is just to get something up in space that I can respond to and think about as sort of a starting point. I'm going to make another small piece of slab to finish out this interior space. Yeah, I'm just going to add this slab, and so what I do is I overlap the two slabs, the one that's in the mold and the new one I'm bringing to it, and then I just cut at an angle. I call it a bevel, but that really confused one of my students, made her mad at me. I guess a bevel is a 45-degree angle. It just allows the two slabs to overlap one another, and it's easier to connect them. So that excess from underneath is coming out, and now they should fit together really nicely. And you see how the mold, this frosted mold spins really easily, so when I'm hand building I can kind of get it where I want it, which I like. So now again, my soft clay just allows me to smear this together and still have a consistent thickness throughout the piece.